3, 2, 1.
E2 Performance.
Boom. Today is more of a raw episode in the fact that I want to talk about something that's been stewing in my brain. We haven't discussed it yet. Normally we sit down and kind of brainstorm together and talk about these episodes. So
While I eat.
We're both on the same page. This is a raw episode because it's something I want to talk about. I haven't even hashed my thoughts out clearly, but I want to talk about expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It translates to multiple aspects in life, but I will break it down on what I experienced thus far.
Mm-hmm.
It was about my wedding.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. If people don't know you got married,
Yeah.
are we supposed to say that on air?
I said Diane is my wife for the first time when people came to the wedding after I already said I do. Not bad. It's more it's more awkward for her because she's like, when she's like, my husband, she's all weird about it.
You're mine now.
When we did the wedding, she had her picnic stuff laid out and somebody's like, wow, all that stuff's like beautiful. Like, where'd you get all this stuff? And I'm like, well, actually, it's my wife's small business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was real.
Yeah.
But I honestly have been calling her like the wife for like 5 years prior. So it was already
the boss.
A simple transition. Yeah, the boss, the wife, whatever. I want to talk about expectations though, because the wedding should be a very happy, joyous occasion. There was a lot of stress to it though. The stress was trying to please my parents, trying to please her parents, trying to please her, trying to please everybody who had expectations of what the wedding should be.
Should look like, should feel like.
Well, you have to do this. You have to do this. You both have to get a ring. She has to take your last name. You're supposed to have a priest. You're supposed to have this. Like everyone had their own expectations. And I had to have a conversation with my dad about it because all of this stress weighing down, I was like, Dad, because me and him were kind of butting heads again. And I don't butt heads with my dad very often. Me and him...
I don't think I've ever heard you guys do that one time, not once.
Me and Pops normally see eye to eye. We're normally both pretty logical thinkers and everything's smooth. But we were butting heads. He actually still wanted some things a certain way. And my mom wanted some things a certain way. But I was like, Dad, with all of this stress going on, and I'm telling you I need an ally, like I need a support system because I don't feel like I have one. I'm telling you that everything's stressing me out, and then you're just throwing on your expectations on top of me, which doesn't help at all. And then we kind of broke that down into expectations is essentially you setting a desire, like you desire a certain something, and you're making a contract with yourself.
Or process.
Yeah, you're setting a contract with yourself that if I do not get what I desire, I'm going to be unhappy. So for instance, if you have expectations of your children, you have 4. If you expect all of them to go to university, all of them to bring home a piece of paper for you, and all of them to have a job, if they don't, say 3 of them do and 1 of them doesn't, you like...
If they don't.
Dead. Dead. Hear that, kids?
You're going to rewatch this episode a few years from now.
I don't know, like we've never even discussed your kids, but again, the expectations of... So it can boil down to expectations of the wedding. If people don't get it a certain way, they're going to be unhappy. If you don't, your expectations of your workouts or the journey, if you're like, oh man, I need to lose 50 pounds, I need to do it in 2 months, and you make that expectation, if you don't hit it, you've basically made a contract with yourself saying that you will be unhappy if you don't reach that expectation.
Did you enjoy your wedding? Or was it, there's just a little bit of stress?
I enjoyed the day. I did not enjoy any of the build up to it.
The process leading up to it.
I didn't. And it was brought down by everyone else's expectations. It wasn't about what I wanted. It didn't really feel like it was about what Diane wanted. Although we tried to make what we want to the best of our ability. But between everybody else's expectations and trying to please everybody else, I can say that like the build up to it was not enjoyable.
I get you.
And the day was nice. I enjoyed the day. I love my wife.
That's the most important part.
That's the most important part.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the expectations of that day, it sucked.
AJ and I crumbled on that one before we got married.
What do you mean?
We were planning a bigger wedding, like a bigger wedding. Number of guests. Were we going to fly to Canada from Philippines and everything, right? Way too much for what we want right now. Let's get married. Boom. And we just threw everyone's expectation or whatever, and we just invited the people that we feel like should be there. Some of them didn't even make it.
Yeah.
But we just put them on like I don't think Zoom existed at that time, but FaceTime or whatever.
Whatever that was available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all we did, and we got married, and it was done. Boom.
Yeah.
The way we wanted it. But it was obviously it was hard because, again, some people are very traditional. You didn't, there was no priest. There's no,
yeah.
Right? We were in front of JP.
Yeah.
Right?
So expectations going into like a health and fitness aspect, or even relationships, if you expect certain things out of the relationship, like the relationship with your wife or the relationship with your best friend or whatever the case may be, if you set certain expectations of the people around you and they don't live up to your expectations, it's not like that was their plan. Like if I was like, for instance, if I would throw you under the bus, I'm like, oh, I expect Eljay to post on his Instagram and promote the podcast, and I want him to do this, and I want him to do that, and he needs to do this. These are my expectations projecting onto you that you never even agreed to,
or maybe I did. Maybe I did.
Maybe you did.
Right? And then I didn't do it. But again, it affects the person who's expecting, or who has an expectation.
It might affect,
not so much.
Yeah.
Because I was like, let's say for example, if this really happened, which it didn't, because I always promote. Right? Like if I didn't do it, I was so busy I can't even think of anything.
Yeah.
Right? So normally the person with the expectation is the one that's affected greatly by that instance.
That letdown of that expectation, it's negativity inside the body. It's stress inside the body.
It's hard to get rid of it.
And it damages the relationship. You start to see like just a little bit, because no human is perfect, but with these expectations, you just start to, your viewpoint of people starts to change.
It's almost like you're accelerating that process, like knowing that no one's perfect and this relationship's going to be strained, and it's not.
Yeah, you damage relationships with expectations because, oh, this person let me down. Well, why'd they let you down? Well, I expected better. I expected they were going to do this. Whereas if you just let things be what they be, it's hard though. I know this concept is not perfect.
I don't think it will ever be. And I don't think, and see, now the thing is, I started thinking about this, and I'm like, are there any healthy expectations out there?
So where I was going with the conversation with my dad is, these expectations can get really intense. I can't speak to you as a father, but if I was thinking about you as a father, it's like Eljay's expectations. All 4 kids going to be happy, have lots of friends, have no problem at school. They're all going to get good grades. They're all going to go to post-secondary and get good jobs. They're each going to have a family. I'm going to be a grandpa. Each one of them is going to have
everyone's
kids.
Going to be healthy, and everyone's going to take care of themselves. And
bro, I'm saying that expectation, it's a desire, it's a want. If you basically want that, that's a hell of a perfect line of like the timeline. With so much shit out of your control.
Everything almost out of your control. Everything.
And to like expect that that's going to happen and be disappointed if it doesn't. Crazy. Like let's say just for instance, Jace, your son. I can say I don't know him well enough that I don't know what he's leaning towards. Is he an athlete? Is he an artist? Does he like math? Does he like books?
He says he's a video gamer.
He's a video gamer. He's a Twitch streamer, is he? Let's say he does that. Let's say he pursues that for the next 20 years. Say it's disappointing to you because...
You only made 10 million this year?
No.
Is that what you're...
Let's say that's what he actually pursues. And a lot of kids are. And let's say he struggles at it for like 10 to 15 years. And the girls all go to school and get degrees. And Jace is still living at home with you. And you're like, man, this boy's barely even paying rent. He's like 18 years old, still playing video games in the basement. That's a heavy expectation.
Who are you playing with? Uncle Eric's on the other line.
We might.
No, I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, just like expecting this perfect timeline out of people, it's weird. Like for my life, for instance, I've been having these stomach issues for the past 2 years. I didn't think this was going to happen, and
not for this long.
I expected I would have been in meaner shape with more skills under my belt, and I'd be stronger and happier with my own personal training, my own health and fitness. It's like I expect my life that me and Diane are going to buy a new, bigger house. I'm going to have a bigger garage gym. Business is going to be successful. We're going to have kids. They're going to be perfect. They're going to get good grades in school. They're not going to give us attitude.
Nope.
They're not
never. They do. They never do.
They're going to keep their rooms clean. They're going to put all their toys away.
Yeah.
It's going to be perfect.
They're not going to write on the wall. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They're going to change their own diapers too.
Yeah. And
All
they'll
the
vacuum the
jazz.
living room for me every night as well.
And they're going to grow up and they're going to go to post-secondary. All of our kids are going to be doctors. They're all going to make six figures. And me and you're just going to live the dream.
Wow. Now that we're expecting that, thanks.
You're like, I didn't even think about this. Why'd you put it in my brain?
I just wanted them to be healthy.
No, but I think a lot of
but
people
even
have that expectations.
Well, that's funny. Even that, the statement that I just made, I just want them to be healthy. What if they're not?
Yeah, that's your expectation.
What if someone gets sick?
That's your expectation.
Right?
What if they like? I want them to be healthy, and I think it's actually. I honestly think that it's worse in Asian culture. Like, Diana's Vietnamese. My best friend Denza is Chinese. I've known Denza for 25 years. I know Denza's lifestyle and Diana's lifestyle. Both of their parents have really high expectations.
Of course.
Asians, like, they want like everyone to like make six figures, have a degree, and be like in a professional career.
Yep.
You have to be a professional and be making money. And there's pressure and stress on that if you do not do it.
Yeah.
And that's the parents' expectations. But it's funny because the parents' expectations, some of those parents, again, they want what's best for their kids. But when they set these expectations in and the kids don't deliver, then the parent is upset and the parent is like mad. And then it strains the relationship for no other reason other than you had expectations. That's what I'm trying to get get across.
Yeah.
You're straining a relationship that doesn't need to be strained just because you want something that maybe that person doesn't even want.
Yeah, I think so. I think there are healthy expectations, and I think there are expectations that are very almost like self-centered. I think when the expectation is about what I want, that can put a lot of my relationships in jeopardy. But if I have an expectation because out of love, I want my kids to be successful, I want all my kids to be healthy, and if it doesn't happen, well, I mean, that's too bad. All I can do is pray for you. All I can do is I give you advice. All I can do is try and help you.
Specific success, though, like success is like, what if Jace does want to be a Twitch streamer? And what if he has a lot of great friends, a lot of good relationships? He's happy-go-lucky, and he's actually happy to live at home, and he's like trying to do stuff. But societal expectations also, because we have parent expectations, friend expectations, society expectations. Society bears down on people as well, because society's expectations is that, again, you're supposed to be contributing, not staying at home in your parents' basement till you're 30 years old, being a Twitch streamer and like this kind of crap. Like, society bears down on people as well, and there's just a lot of pressure now, just overall.
Is that crazy that I don't feel that pressure at all?
Yeah, but you're already winning. You don't get a count. You don't get emotions. You don't get a say in this, LJ.
I don't have a house. I have no brand new vehicles. I work by myself. Well, my wife actually works harder than me. But there's a lot of things that are, you know, at age 35, society expect me to have a degree and all these certificates and all this success and have this big RSP account and TFSA and all that stuff. I don't have all that.
See, but I don't know if we've ever discussed this on air or even in person, but I think we've discussed it where you're like, oh, Eric, you got the house. You've said it before. You're like, oh, man, you got the house. And I'm like, man, but you got the family. And you're already like, you already got this rock star dad mentality where like you're awesome dad. You get to spend time with your kids, like, and all your kids, like your kids are awesome too. All like,
they're so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And so I'm like, that's something that I'm like, man, you're already set. You already got it. Like the house, it's nice, but it's not needed. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the reason why I don't feel the pressure, because I know everything that I need, I already have it. Everything that I need right now, I have it. Things that I want, however, is on a different list.
Yeah.
And I already know that, well, some of the things that I want, that will take a little bit of time.
You have this clarity, though, that I don't think a lot of people have in regards to, like, deciphering the differences between needs and between wants. It's also, though, like, some parents would feel more pressure because they want to provide everything for their kids so their kids don't need to work. That's a different conversation, but it's your kids... Diane, actually, great example. Diane went to nursing, RN, 4-year degree. By the time she was about 1 year out, Sorry, that's an airplane rolling by. By the time she was about 1 year out of school, she almost clipped away all of her student loans because she was working in university. She did that all by herself. That's a proud moment for her where she's like, man, I paid for all my school by myself. I was smart with my money. I paid it all off by the time I was basically out. Whereas some parents are like, I don't want my kids to have to worry about paying for school. I'm going to buy my kids their first house. It's a different way of parenting, and I can't say what's right or wrong or what's best. But it's just, it's these wavering, like you'll see two kids, mommy and daddy paid for their school, mommy and daddy bought them a house, and they have no pressure to work, pay the bills, and have financial pressure. You'll see one of those kids be rotten and a pain in the ass and entitled. And you'll see one of them super grateful, very optimistic, and a pleasure and a delight. Who's to say where that split or that separation becomes? I don't know.
It's hard.
The world's so different. So weird.
Upbringing, basically, to me.
Your experiences shape you. Go back to episode 12.
There you go, right?
Wasn't episode 12.
Wow.
It wasn't episode 12.
Whoa, you're obsessed.
No.
You got issues, bro.
No, we did speak about that, though, about how your experiences shape you. So same thing. If you have a kid that's struggling, and again, we're kind of going on a rant about expectations, but if you have two kids that are struggling, the same struggle, both don't have a lot of food, parents aren't super rich, they don't have a lot of brand new clothes, they're going to the thrift store and they're getting bullied in school, they have the same experience. One of them might thrive and one of them might falter. What's that X factor that actually lets people thrive? Is it built into their genetics? Even if their parents had the same upbringing, I still feel like there's something like an X factor, an experience or something that shaped them to when I fall down, I stand back up no matter what.
Other people fall and they stay.
That's what I mean.
I think that's
it would be game changing.
That is a topic that is a little too outside our scope to even think about all the aspects of it and to try and explain that. But it is amazing. And you know what?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we have that answer. I'm just saying that it blows my mind that I don't know what causes that or why it happens. And I like to chat about it.
If we can get a psychologist or whoever that would be educated enough to speak on terms like this, that'd be amazing.
That point though, I don't even think they would have the answer, because if they did, if somebody had the answer, we would create a solution or a mental program where we would just create positive people, create successful people, and everyone would do the same thing.
But there are those programs out there.
But some people falter on them.
Well, yeah, but it's about accepting it, whether you want. I have all my programs in my computer. I can give that to someone. And again, depending if they follow the program or not. But what I want to know is the science kind of behind it. Where do you think, as someone who's educated enough and patterns of the brain or whatever, how do you separate? I think I have the answer. I don't.
Let me just speak for everybody when I say
well, because again, when we talk about principles and
just keep talking. Just keep talking.
Close it. When we talk about principles and methods, I think there's a lot. Again, we've said this before. There's a lot of methods into doing anything you want to do. A lot of methods, but principles are a handful that never changes. So I think when people go away from the principles, that's when everything starts to get shaky. Right. And I feel like for me, I've always stuck with the things that I know that, it's basic, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Is that even how you say it? Yeah, I think so. Anyways, right. Love people, care for people, take care of your body, because you can't pour water out of an empty jug. You gotta fill you first so you can give. Right. So those are some key principles that I try and just keep very close to me, and I try not to forget. And I'm not saying I'm the most successful person, but I think I'm heading that direction. I feel like
it's just crazy, right? Everything that you said too, there's still an area for a breakdown for some people to let something slide, to be a perfect human with this mentality. It's very hard.
Well, not even that. Again, if something catastrophic happens, let's say
changes,
to knock on wood, to a family member, a family of mine, I don't know if I'm going to break down or not. I don't know if I'm going to keep,
if you're strong enough. Right? Even if you had the perfect support system. I came to your house every day, got you out of bed, and be like, Eljay, we're going to go work out, bro. Come on, let's.
Right.
You still.
You don't know. You don't know. But.
And that's where I mean, like, the expectations, it's like this loops back around that, like, expectations. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm saying it's kind of like that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. You have to make sure that the expectations you have are actually worthwhile and not just petty, that aren't actually valued, like adding to people or adding to your relationship. Because some expectations, I think, can add to a relationship.
Of course.
And some can take away. It's just a weird thought. Like I said, this is a rough episode.
I think it was pretty good.
We just kind of threw it together.
Right.
I think there's a lot of area of opportunity.
We're professionals, bro.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to add in their 2 cents to this conversation.
They can hit us up.
So yeah, you can hit us up on the YouTube video in the comment section, or you can hit us up on Instagram if you have something that you want to discuss, or we can revisit the topic. But
if someone out there,
because again, we don't have all the right answers. This is just a broad topic off my brain.
And if you know someone who is very educated in this and can give us some good information, share our podcast to them, and then have them listen, and have them share it another time, and then keep sharing it, and then we make millions doing podcast.
Eljay's expectation of the podcast, make millions.
Man, Eric, when is this gonna happen?
When is it gonna take off? No.
Anyways, no. I think that was a very good and interesting topic.
It's a big topic with no right or wrong answer, but just up for discussion and debate. If you like this episode, hit the like button on the YouTubes. Subscribe.
Share.
Leave us a review on the Apple Podcast.
Yes.
We would like that. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
And if you're the 130th commenter...
Bro, we get one comment an episode. Stop. Stop.
Never mind.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys. We love you.